What up? You know what it is. It's the Charlie Newhart Show. I'm Charlie Newhart. Like and subscribe if you like real content. If not, just get off. Give a shit or don't subscribe. If you like real, like and subscribe. I'm not going to beg y'all motherfuckers, man. All right. This is what you're going to find on this show. In this episode, I'm going to talk about my time at Ford Motor Company. I was on the assembly line, you know what I'm saying, between 99 and 2007. I remember being in the break room. I was eating this McDonald's burger, and this dude walked up to me like, hey, you know, the McDonald's burgers make your balls a little. And then he just walked out the break room. I'm like, man, this nigga talking about? Then I got to researching soy and how much soy was in burgers. Like, he didn't know he was prophetic at the time. McDonald's burgers. And I was like, I don't want small beads. So let me stop eating these McDonald's burgers. I got to a fight on the assembly line at Ford. We're going to talk about that a little bit. I got a very interesting guest, Jessica Winther, my homegirl. She'll be here. Langston's here. You know what I'm saying?
Yo.
He doing his thing. Langston's like Jeezy. He just shouts out ad-libs every now and then in the back. Yeah. Oh, I know what you're saying. But he'll give his strong opinion too. Like, you know what? I don't agree with that. And that's what I like, man. Be a real nigga at all times.
I'm just saying, penguins are assholes.
See what I'm saying? Just random Jeezy shit. You can expect that out of Langston. We got a fly in the building because we are shooting in my garage on some hood shit. You might see me kill this motherfucker on camera. Yeah, man. We're just gonna talk about a few things and why does everybody want to be desirable and be seen right now? Is it because of social media? Did what's his name that created the iPhone? Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg, are they responsible for this? For society deteriorating right now? Is it their fault? We're going to talk about it, plus more on the Charlie Newhart Show. Holla at me.
Give it up for Charlie Newhart! Come
on! We back on the block. I don't know. I do feel that way to a certain degree, that Mark Zuckerberg and Steve Jobs is like partly responsible for how weird society is right now. They did connect people to a certain degree, but also there's this weird disconnect, I think. Everybody wants to be desirable. And I don't know, man. You got a married woman with 6 kids. She's 52 years old. To me, she should be desirable to her husband. Why you gotta have 100,000 followers? For what? Well, who you trying to be seen by? You trying to be desirable to the whole world? You got 6, 7 kids who's also looking at your content. There's gonna come a time, especially in today's day and age, where your kids could type your name in a search engine. Well, what they gonna find? When they find out they 52-year-old mama got an OnlyFans page. Is she out here popping? Now, if that's what you want to do your thing. I'm just saying you need to be prepared to explain that, because we're not living in a day and age where you could just comfortably live like 2 lives. Like at some point it's going to get exposed. I was talking about this beforehand. Like when I was like 15 or 16, my cousins used to throw these lifestyle parties. And basically, you know, it's like 10, 15 strippers in the room. And dudes would pay money to get in the room, and then you just to get the dance. And then if you wanted to go to the back for some special action, you had to pay that fee. You know what I'm saying? Special action. Do you know what that means? A special action.
Is that? I'm guessing that's similar to a happy ending.
Happy ending. That's a power spray. So it's a power spray.
That sounds machine assisted.
It does. But think about it though. I mean, based kind of on you've seen similar things. Right? That does something to you as a man when you see these men who, like, I remember my cousin sat me down. It was like, listen, you probably gonna see some relatives walk in here. You're gonna see some people, some respected people from the community. You can't speak about what you see here. You can't mention no names. And sure enough, bro, I saw uncles walk in. Like, ain't that Uncle such and such? He married to Aunt such and such. Like, ain't that my man that's like a union rep? Ain't that Deacon such and such? Like, at a young age, I had an opportunity to see that men can live 2 lives, men and women. Because even some of the dancers was like, wait a minute, I remember, man, where did I go, dog? Like I didn't know her before, but after she was dancing at the party, I was somewhere, dog. Where was I at? I can't remember. And then I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me, and I'm looking at her face like, I know you. And it wasn't until I walked out like, oh, that was the girl that was pushing 8-balls out her pussy. Damn. Like, it was, but it was in some well-respected environment, bro. And that's why I'm like, there's a whole underworld that some people, but seeing that at a young age, I don't know how you feel about it, but seeing that at a young age, these people live 2 lives. I'm able to accept the flaws in people because when I see you, I automatically assume like this is probably 2 people.
I honestly, my only thing, all that taught me was to just see how you treat other people. Like, I really don't give a shit what you do in your private life.
Yeah.
But it's just how do you treat people? Like, that's kind of like what it taught me. It was just like, I mean, you're right. I pretty much assume everybody has something else going on. But I just like,
But how do you treat people no matter what's going on in your private life?
Wherever you are, how you treat people, that's kind of what I judge you on. Like, I don't care if you're at the orgy or you're at work. Like,
how you treat people. Yeah, no, I respect that. That's kind of the mindset that I was able to adapt growing up, which lets me, like, because there's this thing called familiarity breeds contempt, right? The closer you get to somebody, you start to see their flaws, the chinks in their armor, then you may treat them differently because you may have had them on a pedestal, and it's like, oh, now that's like the commercials and TV shows and things that I've been on. To me, I'm not even a B-list celebrity. I'm probably C or D-list. I'll be there one day.
Charlie. Yeah. You've been on Star Trek. You're A-list forever in my book.
I did have a role in Star Trek, which I'm grateful to God for, man.
I was literally like, that's Charlie.
Yeah, I'm so grateful, dog. I'm so grateful for that role and all the other ones that came. But honestly, when I get around family or friends or just in general, people want, oh, why were you able to get that role? How are you able to get these roles on TV? So they're trying to find a chink in my armor. And then when they find out like, oh, he a regular dude just like me, which I am. But then they start to behave differently. But ultimately, you never should have had me on a pedestal to begin with. I'm a man with flaws just like you. You know what I'm saying? So familiarity breeds contempt. But because of what I saw growing up with these people that live 2 lives, familiarity doesn't breed contempt with me because I'm automatically assuming you got flaws. I'm automatically assuming you got chinks in your armor. When I meet you, it's just that I haven't seen them yet. And then when I start seeing, I'm like, oh, there it is. But I don't treat you no different. You know what I'm saying? And I just think that social media to a certain degree has allowed us to paint this picture of how we want the world to see us. But that's not the real you. That's not the real you. And then I don't think you should be upset when people discover the real you. Your kids is going to type your name in a search engine. When my kids type my name in a search engine, bro, they gonna see the good and the bad. Like when my ex, when me and her got into it, somehow a video of my penis hit the internet and it went viral. Like my penis got more views than me. It was more famous than what I was. I was like, I should have put some makeup on that boy or something. It got more famous than I did, and it's like they gonna see the flaws. Like, oh, he had a horrible breakup. He's got these good, he's got this bad, but I'd rather sit you down and explain it to you before you type my name in the search engine. Let me tell you, look at this fly. On my own body, I'm gonna have to disinfect my arm after this.
That was a Bruce Lee move.
It's a Bruce Lee move. We're gonna keep it in there too, just to let you know it's real. Killing flies on my arm. I wonder if it's like a whole fly community that are for the flies that send me an email like, I can't believe you did that on air. We got to save the flies.
Why do I feel like there is somewhere?
It's got to be such a weird environment we live in. Like, he killed a fly on the show. But yeah, everybody wants to be seen and desirable. I went on this whole long tangent to get to that. Like, everybody wants to be seen and desirable. Like the BBLs and all this other shit. Like, Langston, I know you didn't see it at all. But I just feel like I don't think it's wrong with like a woman getting her power back if she's been mistreated or abused for a certain amount of her life. And she's like, I want to get my power back or whatever choices you make. But I feel like we're living in such a world where everybody wants to be seen and desirable. I was when I was driving truck for a while, I was dropping a whole bunch of packages of food off. And this dude, the cook, got off the grill. He was like, are you the guy from the Optima commercials, right? And I was like, nah, this nigga know me from, I'm dropping off food. And this was a while ago. I was like, yeah. Hey man, let me show you. I'm doing videos too. This motherfucker made me sit through an agonizing time of watching him act like Macho Man Randy Savage on IG.
Agonizing.
It was so painful, dog. It was video after the third video. I was like, all right, man, congratulations. But I looked, this nigga got like 42 followers, and then not only after he watches the video, he does another rendition live to me at the restaurant. Watch me do Macho Man. Like, nigga, I don't want to watch you. I want to drop this food off and leave. Everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be desirable. You on the internet and you feel like you're supposed to be a star, and it's like, man, everybody ain't meant to be seen. Everybody ain't meant to be a star, dog. I understand it, nigga. With your 42 followers as Macho Man, I understand. I probably could have just got the picture with one video. But this nigga makes me watch 3 videos, and I'm like, man, dog, you just don't even understand half of this entertainment shit I'm running from. For real. I'm not trying to chase fame. It just seems to happen to find me, but ultimately it's disgusting. I've watched so many people get a taste of fame and they get addicted. And that's the worst thing to be addicted to other than drugs is these niggas. I know so many broke celebrities, it's insane. Cause look, it ain't nothing wrong with being a garbage man, dog. It ain't nothing wrong with being a factory worker, a truck. I know some real ass factory workers. I know a nigga that own about 5 or 6 trucks. He making almost $1 million a year. He got 5 or 6 houses. He got a bunch of cars. And it's like, I just want to dispel the myth that you have to be seen and be a billionaire through entertainment. There are other ways you can make money. I know ain't nothing wrong with being a garbage man, dog. I know some real ass truck drivers. I know some real ass factory workers. I even mentioned it, like my boy Antonio. That nigga work on the line at Chrysler. And then he also works on the curb for Delta checking bags in. This nigga at his house. Nigga got jewels, he got houses, he got cars.
Don't get the nigga robbed, damn.
This my homeboy, man. He already said don't get the nigga robbed. You funny. This my man's. And it's like, and he keep a pocket full of money and he ain't trying to chase no fame. He just now got on social media not too long ago.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Would you say that he is a confident person?
Very confident. Very
I
confident.
think you hit it right there.
I like it. That's an excellent question, man. And I feel like he has a level of confidence because he don't really know what's going on in the social media world. Nigga is unplugged. I remember when I first got out here, bro, I had 0 social media. I ain't had no IG. I had no Facebook. I had shut everything down. Wait a minute. I did have Facebook, but it shut down, and Twitter, and I didn't really have no YouTube, and I wasn't online. And then about a year and a half, I ain't had no cell phone. I was just focused on my art. I just want to create. I want to be an actor and comedian. I want to write. And I was selling out shows, even with 0 social media. I sold out the J-Spot. I sold out the Comedy Union. So don't buy this myth. And also booked roles. So don't buy this myth that you have to have social media to be successful. I was doing it without all of it. I'm talking about in like 2018, 2019. Only reason I'm on now is like, I don't mind. I got a fan base that I definitely want to talk to and give real game to. But also, too, if you're trying to set up a tour worldwide, nationwide, it's probably best if you got some type of fan base. So I get it. But I'm going to get on here and do what the fuck I want to do. I ain't going to do what the fuck people telling me to do. I'm going to say what I want. I'm going to do what I want. But yeah, he was a confident person, Langston, 100,000%. There's nothing wrong with that, man. I want y'all to actually relish in that. You can be, you know what I'm saying, you working on the assembly line, you a truck driver, you providing for your family. Just make wise decisions with your money. I encourage everybody to read Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. It's one of the best books I ever read because you're getting all that money. You can make 60, 70, 80, 90,000 working on the factory, driving truck, make 6 figures. But if you're not wise with that, then you constantly chasing, what difference does it make if you're making $100,000 if you're spending all of it and living above your means? I'll live in the hood for a minute if I'm stacking up some money. Straight up for like a year, 2 years. But yeah, man, that's one of the things I wanted to chop it about. But also, too, man, rest in peace, David Arnold, man. Did you see that? The comedian?
Shit's crazy, man.
Dude, like 54 years old, bro.
I know. I'm like, yeah. It's Shocking isn't the word.
When I see these people, like, I feel like if you are under the age of 70 and you pass away, to me that's young. 65, 70, you below that mark. Like David Arnold, rest in peace. Rest in peace, Teddy Ray. He was 32. Rest in peace, my boy Mark Greathouse, Detroit, man. He was in his early 50s. He owned a bunch of barbershops, man. They just hit me and told me he passed. Shauna,
Damn.
Minister Shauna, man, from my old church, she passed away. I know she was under 60. Eric Maxey. My boy Kevin Davis and his father both passed away within like a few month time frame. This is all my people from Detroit. I got a whole list of people that have passed away that I know. And it's like 10 plus strong that passed away in the last like 18 months to 2 years. And I'm like, this is unreal. It's unreal. It makes me want to just be, just appreciate every moment with family and friends. Call and check on your people, but also too, man, and this is probably controversial. I'd love to hear your take on this, Langston, but I feel like there is something in the atmosphere that is amplifying health risks that are on people. And, because I'm gonna just say it, dog. I feel like the whole pandemic all started when 5G popped off. When it's 5G, and you need 5G for artificial intelligence and all things, like there's these self-driving semi-trucks now, and it's off the chain. But there's something about the radiation in 5G that is amplifying the illnesses that are in certain people. Like a friend of mine, his name's Eric Maxey. He already had some heart issues, right? He had open heart surgery like 4 or 5 years ago. And I mean, as soon as the pandemic touched down, he faded. And some of these people that I know that have had health concerns, even if it may have been minor, like my dad's friend, he was kind of sick a little bit beforehand. 5G touchdown, and he got full blown MS now, can barely walk. And I remember when it first touched down, I thought I had a spider bite on my back. At one point, I went to the doctor to see what was going on, and they was like, "No, you got shingles." It's like, nigga, shingles? I'm 40 something years old. It was like, yeah, you got shingles. So my opinion is that, number one, I really want people to be more cognizant of taking care of their personal health, because there is a such thing as natural immunity. And again, I ain't no doctor. You know what I'm saying? I've read a few things. I did have cancer when I was really young, and it made me be more aware of my health. When I was 15, I had cancer, and I had 2 surgeries, 8 months of chemo. And God healed me, man. I'm super grateful. Like, I was laying on the table and I saw angels standing around me when I was halfway in, halfway out getting anesthesia. And after God healed me, it made me be more aware of what I eat. Like, I haven't had any pork or red meat or anything dairy in like 20 years. Because I researched my blood type. There's this thing called the blood type diet. You research your blood type, and then there's certain foods that are conducive to your blood type that keep you healthy, keep you at a certain weight. Like, I've never weighed more than like 220 pounds. I never go beyond that, but I eat according to my blood type. But I encourage all of y'all, man, if you just research what your blood type is and eat according to your blood type, if you can. And also to realize the continuous consumption, because I drink every now and then, but the continuous consumption of alcohol and all that sugar, it weighs down on your immune system. And even if you wake up in the morning and drink some electrolytes, it will kind of fill you. But we are living in a season where you have to be very responsible for your own health, because you go into a doctor's going to prescribe medication for your sickness. They're not necessarily going to suggest certain eating patterns. Because I went in for a throat issue one day and they told me I had acid reflux, and then they prescribed some medication. And then I started researching, like, damn, what can I do to reduce this acid reflux? Oh shit, just stop eating tomatoes and drink less caffeine. I cut tomatoes out of my diet, no caffeine. I've never had an acid reflux issue since. But that doctor can't tell me that, because what do most doctors have, like 4 hours of nutrition study? They want to prescribe medication. Now you may have to take medication. Again, I'm not no doctor. I'm just saying we're living in a day and age where you have to take responsibility for your own personal health and what's good and not good for your body. Because I'm watching these people fade, bro. And I don't know all of the circumstances for everybody. I know about Eric Maxey. I don't know what happened. Did they say what happened with David Arnold? Ain't nobody really said what happened with him. But I'm under the impression that there is something in the environment right now that is intensifying illnesses in people. And if it goes unchecked, it's people punching fast. I got a list of like 12 people here that I know that passed away in the last 18 months. I just don't want that to be one of y'all. Go to the doctor, do your checkups, the whole nine, but start taking personal responsibility for your health. Researching what's going on with your body. You got any conspiracy theories on the 5G? Or do you choose to remain silent?
As a software engineer, you probably would like my answer.
Oh, I want to hear it though.
I don't think it's 5G technology, but my experience in life tells me that it doesn't mean that it's not necessarily something that could be associated with 5G.
Oh, really?
Because I've seen too many historical engineering things where people were like, oh, it must be that thing. Well, actually, it wasn't that thing, but it was a process that they used to build that thing.
Ooh.
Or some way that they went about building the new towers or that created an environmental issue in the areas.
Yeah.
So people will associate it because it happened around the time the 5G showed up.
I like that.
But it may not be the 5G radio waves, but it might have been all the fucking dirt that they dug up and just put into the air or there's so many environmental factors. So that's why I'm like, I can't just be like, no, that's wrong, because historically
the process.
You have to look at the whole thing, and so you can never rule shit out because history is full of crazy series of events that led to things that people didn't figure out until they were able to step away and look at the whole picture, and that almost never happens until much later. So,
absolutely. So
that's why I'm silent, because it's like I don't have enough data, basically. When I don't have enough data, I shut the hell up.
Yeah. I like that. That's a good approach. For me, I'm gonna keep running my motherfucking mouth.
There's nothing wrong with telling people to, telling people check on yourself.
Take care of yourself.
Don't just take the pills by default. See if there's other options. Like, I agree with that, definitely.
Take care of yourself. But what you just said reminds me, because this whole thing right now about clean energy. We got to be about clean energy bill. We go like what somebody said that they was trying to do, like all electric cars in California by a certain type of year. And I'm just like, man, let me do some research on this clean energy. So most clean energy vehicles run on lithium. They're lithium in the batteries, right? Mm-hmm. Nigga, I looked up the process in which it takes for them to get lithium. Have you seen this?
Oh, that's one of the major contentions that people bring up about with the lithium problem, basically, because you have to destroy and create such a caustic and crazy process.
That's crazy.
To put the lithium in the battery. And so there's this constant thing of if you buy an EV, you really should never upgrade it for its life, basically, because once you buy it, if you sell it, then you're basically or you get rid of it and you get a new one, you're basically throwing away the energy efficiency overall because of the amount of lithium and energy it took to build all the electronic circuits and all the shit that goes into it.
That shit is, most people don't have no clue about what you just said. They're just like, clean energy. Let's do it, man. You driving that gas car, doing clean energy. And it's like, you know what the fuck process it took to, I looked up for them to dig up lithium and get it out of these countries, the amount of water that they have to use. And basically they destroy the land. Let's just say it's a village, some third world village with 10,000 people in it. They'll destroy that whole village to get that lithium because the ground is toxic now. The water, the food, basically they'll destroy that town of 10,000 people so that you can have an EV.
Not even just the EV though, the batteries for our phones.
Facts.
I mean, how many batteries I got here? I can't talk, you know what I'm saying? Because all my camera equipment runs on these lithium batteries. So, I mean,
That's weird. I just feel like we should be, stop saying one. I just feel like help us all to be conscious. Give all of the information so that we can make a conscious choice. Stop saying one side's bad and one side's good when it's like, hey, look, this is the process in which it took for us to get the lithium. Look, we had to kill these 10,000 niggas over here in this third world country for you to be able to drive that electric vehicle and use your cell phone. So be excited. So it was a little African nigga that died so you could use that cell phone, so you can drive that electric car. Help us be aware, but stop making one part good. Let us choose. Let me be able to choose. That's what I hated about the pandemic. You forced me in the house. Motherfuckers, how many people died on the freeway of traffic accidents in 2019 or 2020? You didn't force me to stay off the freeway because motherfuckers was dying. Why are you forcing me to stay in the house? I feel like with this whole gas and electric vehicle situation, you should allow the public to choose what they want to do. Stop trying to make one side bad. Oh, gas vehicles are all bad. We should do electric. Talk about them 10,000 niggas you killed in that third world country to make them batteries, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Make it all aware. Let us choose. I feel like our ability to choose and our ability to have opinions is being attacked. Me and you have differing opinions on shit, but that don't make us not cool.
But I mean, getting gas isn't exactly a clean process either.
True, it isn't.
So
That's what I'm saying. Both of them is foul. I'm not even saying the gas shit is 100. I'm just saying don't present electric vehicles as they're so holy and it's great when you done killed 40,000 niggas in Africa.
Right. No, you're right. You're right. It has to be the whole picture that was presented, like you said.
Give me the whole fucking picture. That's all I'm saying. You're right. The gas process is off the chain.
I was just thinking about the Saudis and how they get down. So.
Yeah, they off the chain. They be,
I'm like, wow.
They be lining niggas up against the wall, ready to kill them for any reason. I was thinking the other day, like, what would happen? Imagine being in an environment where there's 10 niggas that lined up against the wall and they got bags on their head because they crossed the Saudis in some kind of gangster way. They crossed the oil process. These niggas gotta die. It's 10 of them lined up against the wall. They got bags on their head. And you can hear the guns being cocked. They get ready to kill them. And one nigga in the group dick is hard the whole time. They like, let's not kill that guy. He's one of us. This nigga's dick is hard, man. Why is he so excited? He getting ready to get killed. He's one of us. He's a Saudi. He can start doing the whole gas and oil process with us. This nigga's crazy like us. Yeah. I think we're gonna bring my girl on pretty soon. Yeah. Man, I'm excited about this next guest. This my homie, man. She's got an incredible life story. That's the only way you can get on my show. You gotta be real, transparent, an incredible life story. And I just gotta like you. I'm not bringing on a bunch of Hollywood people that I think gonna get a lot of views, man. I don't give a fuck about none of that. If you ain't real with a real story, I don't want to fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to fuck with you at all. So, yeah, let's bring her on. We come back shortly.
Give it up for Charlie Newhart. Come on.
I have a wild heart. Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Me.
I do. You do. Look, I got one of my favorite people on, man. This is Jessica. Oh, I'll let her tell you who she is. But one of the reasons I have her on the show, and I was just telling her in the kitchen that one of the things I really honor about her is that she's not just honest, she's transparent. And the difference between honesty and transparency is like an honest person is going to tell you the truth when you ask them. A transparent person is they can't wait to get it out. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm late. Oh, I did this or I did that. Or, oh, yeah, I ate that cookie that was over there on the counter. I'm sorry. Like, damn, I wasn't even thinking about the cookie, but thank you. She is transparent. Her story's real. Her comedy is just irreverent and raw and funny. And she's just one of my favorite people, man. Let everybody know who you are.
Oh, my God. Thank you. I'm like blushing. That doesn't happen. I don't get compliments much.
Really?
Not real compliments. Like I get, oh, you're pretty or what stupid shit, but things that don't matter. But when people see you, that's the compliment, right?
No, that's real.
So, yeah, I don't get those often. A lot of people don't know who I am. They see the outside and don't dial into the inside. I am Jessica Winther.
Yeah.
Comedian, actor, mother, wild woman.
For real.
Transparent creature.
Yeah, she's the real deal, man. Her comedy, I met you through Josh. I think Josh introduced me to you.
Yes.
That's my boy. Shout out to Josh G. Jet G.
We love him.
He's Jet G. Shout out to Jet G.
Oh, yeah, he is Jet G.
He's Jet G, man, but that's my homie. He was like, man, you got to have her on your show. I was doing a show at Flappers, I think, at the time.
You did a show at Flappers, and it's very interesting because my mother came to that show, and she doesn't come to any shows. Like, she's the woman who, she came in, she goes, oh my God, I don't know if I can get there. I don't know. And she lives like 2 miles away. Okay, like that. Like, my mom was like, I don't know, it's windy, the Uber can't drop me off. I'm like, lady, calm down. But I met you there. Josh was teaching at my children's school.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, I did a comedy show for my kids' school with like huge comedians. Okay, I had just started. I was a year and a half in.
Yeah.
Bill Bellamy, Chris Spencer, Tom Papa. I mean, I had like the A-list lineup and me, and I opened the show.
Oh shit.
with a joke that tormented me, but I like it so much, where I said, I think I'm failing as a parent because I accidentally called my daughter am I allowed?
Yeah, say whatever you want, man.
I accidentally called my daughter a cunt. These are private school parents.
Oh, shit.
Like top notch. Everyone's pretending that they've never said anything to their children, but I love you. Let me pack your lunch, pretty, and take you out to drop you off at school. Bye. It's like crazy. And then I get up with, oh my God, I'm failing as a parent. Yeah, the other day, my daughter, and I said, my daughter put me in a mommy timeout because I accidentally called her a cunt. And then I went, and everyone was like silent, and Bill Bellamy's in the back going, like he's the only one giving me anything.
It was the only validation you needed at that point.
And by the way, that's all I needed.
Yeah.
They didn't want, I think they all their mouths, and then I went further and was like, well, I didn't mean to call her, I called her a cunt, and then I meant to call her a bitch. And then I was like, in the end, I called her a pussy because she wasn't sticking up for herself. And
Dog, that's an amazing coming out story. Like, let me do this shit in front of all these parents. And and the only validation I need is from the vets in the back.
Totally. That's all. By the way, I could hear Bill, and all I kept thinking to myself was, thank you.
See?
Thank you. Because everyone was traumatized. No, I've never seen more faces like, did she just say that?
That's the only kind of comedy I like. The shit that when a comedian's up there saying shit and you can tell they saying it for themselves. You know what I'm saying?
And I was going to change it to asshole and be like, yeah, when your kids are an asshole, it's never your... But I was like, I lamented for a month over this. And then I went, fuck it. You be you and fuck them. You have been living in a box for 20 years, pretending to fit into the societal norms so everybody will like you.
Yeah, fuck that.
You're done.
Yeah, fuck that. And they don't know this. The shit you go through as being a parent. Like, come on, y'all know y'all can relate to this. I remember my son was mad at me one time about something. I put him on punishment. I grounded him, right? He's like 7. I grounded him for something, make him stay in his room. And I went in his room a few hours later to ask him if he wanted something to eat. It smelled like piss. I was like, fuck, this motherfucker was in here. He's so mad at me, he's pissing on the floor in his room.
Oh my God, I kind of think that's funny.
It is funny, but that's, in that situation, you'd have to call that little dude an asshole. Like, you an ass,
This is disgusting. You're an asshole.
You just disgusting, you an asshole.
Yeah.
You pissing in your space. You got to sleep here, motherfucker. And you pissing in your room? I body slammed the shit out of him. Like, man, I should rub your face in this piss.
But see, that's the funny thing is I don't touch my kids.
Okay.
I know this is, I hear it all the time on stage, and all the black comedians are like,
oh, hell no. We got the shit beat out of us.
Everybody. Well, I also had the shit beat out of me, but, and I always get up afterwards. I'm like, hey, I'm part of your group. Okay. I'm white trash. Not really, but really.
Right.
Right. Like, I got hit too. Like, include me.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a misconception, even that white families, I hear all the time, white families don't hit their kids. No, they hit their kids.
Oh, yeah.
The kids just don't talk about it.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
That's the difference.
I need to hear that. No, some of my white friends used to get their ass whooped on a regular. Like, their mama would slap the shit out of them in front of everybody. And I'm like, damn, Billy just got popped here at the kitchen table in front of everybody. And it would just destroy my whole stereotype. Like, oh, white people hit their kids too.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
slap
no,
the dog
real.
shit out of Billy in front of everybody. Like, and then Billy don't want to give us eye contact for an hour afterwards. Like, Billy.
He's so mad.
Log in.
Yeah.
How'd that
feel? I
feel?
left LA.
Oh, for real? People get tuned up?
No, it was white parents were just like total submissives my whole life growing up.
Okay,
Oh,
now here's the trick with that.
I can believe that.
That's a facade. I'm going to tell you why. Because I've seen in my experience with the upper echelon of parenting. First of all, please. Okay. I mean, when because I was at the school my kids went to, and I went to a couple schools. I'm like I'm the black sheep. Like they were like, who let her in?
Yeah.
Like who let that lady in?
Absolutely.
And I was like, I was quiet in the interview, people. Okay, I was quiet. I went to etiquette class. I went to cotillion. I know how to eat and sit with the queen. Like I just don't practice it.
Right.
I know how to do it.
Because you got both sides.
Yes.
You got both. That's one of the reasons. Look, I was telling everybody, I don't want nobody on my show unless they got incredible life stories. They transparent, and I like you, but you got to be willing to share that. Like your story is so much about it's not about how you start. It's like how you finish.
Yeah.
I want you to dive into as much as possible some of the shit that you saw growing up that shaped you. Because when people see you, like you said, you're at these private school meetings, and it's like her. Like the shit that you saw growing up and where you grew up at, man, I want you to talk about that a little bit.
Okay. It's funny, I do tap on it.
Yeah.
So I was born in Canada. This is important because forever I was like, I'm Canadian.
I didn't know that.
No, because I was raised in Vegas.
Right.
Like,
What part of Canada?
Montreal.
Okay.
And I would go back in the summers, and so I wasn't really Canadian. I was born in Canada, and then my mom. So many levels to the story, but my father met my mom in California, took her back to Canada. She was from Vegas. Then he got in trouble, and then she had to come back to Vegas to live with her parents, and she has like a 3-year-old. So I was raised by my grandparents and my mom, because my mom couldn't quite ever get it together.
Yeah.
She did. She's still a hard worker. She's actually amazing. She doesn't even know how amazing she is. But so I was raised in Vegas, and it was the 70s. I mean, it was the 70s and 80s. Like Vegas, I go back now and I'm like, Vegas is like a game show. Like it's so crazy what's happening. Everything's connected. Down. It's kind of like a Matrix special world, right? It's so different. But when I grew up there, it was like golf courses. It was still gangster, but you didn't know. But like the red carpets and the red rooms with the cabaret type, different. I love it. I wish they would have never changed that, right? Now I'm so nostalgic for it.
Right.
But I grew up there, and my mom struggled. So I switched from school to school. She went from an international drug dealer to a domestic drug dealer. So she was really not learning her lessons. You got to go up. You got to go up.
She was attracting to basically the same person with a different name to a certain degree.
Yeah. And she, my mom was adopted. So she was abused. My grandmother adopted her, and she wasn't, great. But so the way I grew up is I was on the streets. Like I was a little bit of a street rat. And right. I started everything early. My mom was working all these jobs. Right. She ended up getting married to that other guy who was super crazy and violent, and I wasn't his kid. So even though we had a beautiful, big, fat, custom home in the desert right behind the circus people who had a full circus setup in their backyard, he was nuts. And he was abusive, and he was crazy, and he abused me, abused my mom, and it didn't last very long. She got out because I walked in one afternoon. I was 8 years old, and I walked into the kitchen, and he was banging her head as she's 7 months pregnant with my youngest sister, and he's trying to kill her, banging her head on the linoleum floor. And I just go, stop. And he looked at me, he goes, my mom goes, go get the neighbor, because the neighbor was a cop. Clearly it didn't matter. And he said, if you fucking get the neighbor, I'm going to kill her, and I'm going to kill you. And I was like, and I can't remember anything. My mom said I went and got the neighbor. I don't remember anything after that. But he was crazy. He'd bring snakes. He knew I was scared of snakes, so he'd bring snakes and put them in like the orange cooler, and then he'd have me open it, and the snakes would come out, and he'd have you sit at the table, and I couldn't eat beets. And he made me sit there and eat them, and I have to throw up and eat. He was nuts.
Wow.
So that's kind of how I started off from 6 to 8, which is the formative
years, right? Those are developmental years.
Yeah.
And that's like goes to what we were talking about in the kitchen about how trauma changes us.
Oh yeah.
The things that we see at those formidable those years, those developmental years, and then we grow up and we don't even know it yet, but we don't have a way of getting this shit off of us that we've seen.
Well, you build your armor. you build your armor and you start protecting yourself.
True.
I mean, by 8 years old, I was taking care of both my sisters. We left there. We went hiding. We had money, and then all of a sudden, now we're on fruit stamps in an apartment across from a school with no furniture. We had a mattress on the floor, and somebody donated. Actually, it was a beautiful couch. Now that I think about it, I was like, I wish I had that. But like a white brocade round, you know, like the 70s, 60s stuff, where you're like, God, I wish I had that couch right now. But we had nothing, and my sisters were like, my mom had to work, and we were hiding. And I remember going to 7-Eleven, wanting a candy bar and using food stamps and being embarrassed to walk in there with my food stamps. But by 8 years old, I was an adult.
Wow.
Like we laugh about chores, like everybody has chores. Yeah. We had an Olympic-sized swimming pool with a high dive, and one of my chores was to get into the pool and scrape the side with that brush every week, clean up the oil in the garage, make sure it was off of the garage or I'd be grounded.
Wow.
But you see me in real life, and I show up in my Jimmy Choos and my cute little, cut off jeans that cost me a small fortune. And I get up on stage, or I'm doing red carpet events, or I'm doing some movie thing. And you look at that and you're like, or I drive my fancy car, and people are like,
that's what I'm saying. To look at you now, you getting out of this dope ass range, and you geared up from head to toe, and you got this whole Beverly Hills like housewife thing down pat. Like, I remember seeing her one day. It was a grocery store, it was something, and I was like, man, look at her, just completely vibed out, like completely fitting in. But based on the surface level of seeing you, nobody would know that that's your story.
No.
So how were you able to transition from that type of upbringing and what you saw into this whole private school, Beverly Hills, Range Rover, Gucci glasses, and you got all of these and the thing about you, what I've noticed is that you attract people. Everywhere you go, you attract all these people. They just come to you like a magnet. How are you able to balance that? Like, you don't even know my fucking past, but okay. How could you balance that, and how were you able to make that transition?
It's funny you say that, because I was never quite aware that I have that. I think it's a superpower, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't understand it. And some of my friends would be like, you realize everywhere we walk in, like you're like honey. It's like zzz, zzz. And I'm like, no, people. We're gonna go in a different level.
Let's go there.
I never noticed that, because I'm that girl, I'm that screwed up girl that came from the streets. And when I say streets, it's not like I was like living on the streets, but I rolled with crazy ass people. Okay. Just like I did. I ended up in the desert shows and in trouble and on drugs, and like went down that path terrible drug user, by the way, but kept doing them. The worst.
How are you bad at using drugs?
That's what I want to know.
Dude, I was good at going. Vegas was like it's like a small town anywhere, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Anywhere you have really nothing to do. What do? You go and you do drugs, and you trip out, and you smoke pot, and you hang out with your friends. I mean, that's when we had dirt weed.
He's fucking that basement weed.
You had to go chase down weed, and everyone's like, is it basil? Is it oregano? Is it weed? Like, what are we getting today?
What the fuck is that, right?
So it's funny because but when you're not good at taking, like, I don't do well with being out of control. So I would do acid because everyone was doing acid, and they'd be like, yeah, we're totally going to do it. That's so great. And we'd be in the desert, and 20 minutes later, everyone's like, oh my God, do you see like the sunrise is blending and like the mountains are talking? And I'm like, somebody take me to the hospital. I can't handle what's happening in my head. And then 3 weeks later, I'd do it again. Okay, like that's the kind of drug user I was. Right?
Yeah.
So even when I'd smoke pot, my friends smoke pot, and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna get high with you. And I spoke a little bit, and I'm like, is anybody else feeling the ants on their bodies, or just me? And everyone's like, oh my God, please, Jessica, don't do this anymore. And I'd be like,
then 2 weeks later.
Because I challenged myself. I always thought to myself, next time's going to be better. Yeah. Next time's going to be different. And it's interesting. I still live like that.
Next time be better.
It's going to be better. You kind of, I always was like, it's going to get better. I have a lot of hope in human nature and in life, right? So I'm like, it's going to get better. It'll be different. It sucks in relationships. That's a lie.
Yeah,
it doesn't get better.
Because you can get better, but you can't make that other person get better.
No. But I would believe. I believe in people. So even I think that I'm that powerful.
Yeah.
That I can just do my witchy
No, that's
stuff.
but that's how I feel. I think when you have like a strong will and you attract people, because I think the reason that I see it is because I'm the same. I attract people in these environments, right? But one of the things I had to learn over time is that just because we attract people, that don't mean we let them in our inner circle. And I think I've let some of the wrong people in my inner circle.
Hello.
Yeah. And you like, damn, you're going through this situation. But there's a part of me that feel like I can change that. Or it's almost like a God complex.
I can help them.
I can help you. I can
it
help
feeds,
heal you.
Here, this is why. I just learned this recently. Because what it does is when we help people, it's our ego.
Yep.
Our
Agreed.
ego needs that to feed us, to make us feel like we've done something. We've given back.
I've changed you.
But like,
I built you.
Yes, our ego needs that.
Yeah.
And when you start to lose your ego and you start to let it, you don't ever really lose it. But when you don't give it as much power, you recognize it and you go, you know what? I'm doing this not for you. I'm doing it for me.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
why am I doing it for me?
Why?
What am I getting from this? And I'm just learning this. Take that step back and pay attention. And I want to address what you said when you have this energy and you pick, because at the end of the day, this is when we're talking about people coming. I attract everything. I mean, I'm not even kidding. Like I was asked out from the last show we did together by the valet guy with no teeth. Okay, like this is like everybody feels. That's real.
No,
everybody feels, because I treat everyone as individuals and as who they are.
Yeah.
I don't care what you have for money.
Right.
I don't care how successful you are. I don't care when somebody goes, oh, my girlfriends sometimes will say, oh, you're above that person, or don't fuck below you. And I'm like, what does that mean?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we're spirits.
True.
We're energy. We just
yeah.
dropped into these bodies and we're going to leave these bodies.
Yeah.
So why would I judge anybody for being anything other than, are you a good person or are you a shitty person?
True. Yeah, we're tripart beings. We're spirit living in a body that has a soul.
Yeah. We're spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
We're spiritual beings having a human experience.
Absolutely.
And I think we as humans have forgotten. We think we're all like, I laugh all the time when I'm like, if you went over us in the sky, when we're flying in the sky and you look down and we all look like ants.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's about your value. So what kind of value are you going to leave on your group of ants?
Yeah.
Like
what kind of goals? What are you going to leave?
What are you going to leave with people? And what do you want to leave with? And who do you want to be as a person? And I don't want to come back if that's, and I'm not saying that that's what happens because we don't know, it's faith. But I gotta tell you, I don't want to come back and do this story again.
See, and that's what I was going to ask you. That
you're talking about reincarnation, you mean?
Yeah.
If you come back, or you don't, reincarnation. But if you come back on this planet, I want to leave this planet knowing that I did my best to better myself and to be the best version of myself. Even if that hits me, when I'm dead and I'm like, oh shit, I could have done this as I'm going out, right? But I want to be the best version of myself. I want to give people and give that's our goal. Why are we the hate, this crazy ass hate for no reason?
Yeah.
It's like, come on, we're a collective energy.
Yeah.
Get your shit together.
That's what I wanted to ask you, like based on where you were. Because some of the moral of this show is not about how you start, it's how you finish. Yeah. So based on where you were and where you are, that transition, you talk about that transition a little bit, fitting in with the Beverly Hills elite, but also I want you to piggyback on what do you think your purpose is? Because you are the black sheep in that group, and only somebody who can see you can see it. Like the first day I met you, I was like, oh shit, she's got a fucking story. That story is you probably got like 10 books inside of you based on
And
the
I
stories.
write. I have books written. Like, I just got to get them all organized. They're done. I just have to get them out.
That's one gift I have. When I see a person, as soon as they start talking, they got to talk. But when I talk, I'm like, oh, fuck, that's a story. I need to know her. So based on your transition from where you were to where you are, talk about how you can fit in. You fit in with this Hollywood elite. And not only that, what do you think your purpose is in that group? Because you've been placed there for a purpose.
There's no accidents.
There's no accidents. You talk about your transition, and what do you think your purpose is in this group of the elite where you just listening to these women talk like, oh my God.
Well, believe it or not, I surround myself with really solid people when I do, and I haven't always.
Right.
I've had to sift through.
Right,
okay,
right.
because I wanted. This is me getting vulnerable, so here we go.
Yeah,
I hate getting vulnerable.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Like,
That's one of your gifts. That's why you here.
I know. Here's the thing. I wasn't recognizing that I wanted to fit in, but my entire life I didn't fit in.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always the girl who sat at the table and would say crazy ass shit at Easter, and I'd be like, at 16, I was like, so I got pregnant, and I had an abortion. And everyone's at the table like, what? And it wasn't true.
Right.
But I would like to just shake it up, right? And I like to fuck with people. Like, I loved fucking with people.
Right.
I was a good liar. I was a good manipulator. You learn that early on when you're abused.
Right.
Away. All you want to do is please and then play. Like, so it was like,
wow.
I'm a people pleaser by nature. So when I had kids, I never really, like, when I had kids, I lost myself. I married somebody who was in the movie business, and I got pregnant first, and shotgun wedding. But I lost my way. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to be the perfect parent. Mm-hmm. I cannot do what my parents did. I'm not gonna be that parent.
Yeah, that's a lot of us.
And so I went into, like, I stopped wearing skirts. I didn't drink for 12 years. I didn't even have a cocktail. I just focused solely on my kids. I coached my kids baseball. I coached my daughter's soccer. I became the PTA president. Like, I took every artistic thing inside of my body and focused it on my kids, raising my family,
right.
Building a home for us, and fitting in. And the thing is I wanted to fit in so badly. It's funny that looking back, I didn't realize it, but I was like, and I still didn't. I was still me, right? So people would be like, oh my God, Jessica's this and Jessica's that and Jessica's too loud. It still happened, and it would kill me because I was like, what do I have to do to make you people love me?
Right.
Which goes back to not feeling loved by your parents.
Not feeling accepted.
And not feeling accepted. And I had a huge, so I played in the school picnics and did all the things I was supposed to do. And I didn't even know baseball. And I ended up coaching my son's baseball, Little League. And everyone was laughing because there's all these serious dads that's like, you're going to be the next, World Series. You're going to go and play. And I was out there, and they gave me the worst kids. Okay, they gave me the ones.
You got the scrub kids.
They gave me the ones that were picking flowers in the outfield, jumping around with bunnies.
They gave you the violin players.
Yes, they did. Totally. My team came in second.
Oh shit!
Because one thing I'm good at is talking to people.
Right.
And one thing I do is I don't focus on what it is you're supposed to be learning. I focus in what do you need to make you want to do it yourself. Right. I'm not going to tell you how to live. You got to go that journey. You got to take that route. So I did all this crazy shit to prove to the world that I was worthy to be in the world. And my son ended up with a rare autoimmune disorder. And he'd had it since he was 3. We couldn't figure it out. And it just took me on, while all this was going down, and it took me on this crazy ass journey, and nobody believed what he had. It's called PANDAS. It's pediatric acute neurological disorder syndrome, blah, blah, blah. But basically, if he would get a virus, it would attack his brain. Oh. So it would create swelling in his brain, and it would shut him down. Right. And it would happen within like 24 hours. So he'd look normal, and then he couldn't remember words, get pains in his body.
Oh, man.
And it would set him back. And
Right.
and then it was this ongoing journey for like 12, 13, 14. I mean, it feels like forever. He's 22 now. But when I finally, after years, my ex didn't believe that he was sick. We kept pushing him. He was a stud in baseball, a smart kid. And I was taking him to throwing coaches and hitting coaches and all this in the school. And he'd fall off, and then we'd put him on the pills, and we'd get him back up, and then we'd tutor the shit out of him, put him back in school, and try to make him as normal as possible, right?
Right.
Because nobody wants a sick kid, right?
Yeah.
Especially nobody wants to tell him. My ex didn't want to tell anybody. I was like, I didn't know what to do. I finally found, I contacted people all over the world. I started fighting this fight that was insanity. And I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't functioning. I was just trying to save his life.
Right.
Because I was scared I was losing my kid mentally.
Yeah.
And I was numerous times. I got him up and running. I finally got somebody up outside of Stanford, and I drove him up there. We did all this stuff, and I got her, and she broke. And as soon as I got him kind of okay, I collapsed. And I like to call it a breakthrough, because it definitely was the beginning of my spiritual awakening, a Kundalini experience, I've been told. I just, like, something in me cracked, and there was other things that led up to it, but we don't have 25 hours. So that sent me on a journey of my ego. So people will do drugs, they'll microdose or do ayahuasca, or they'll do yoga, or they'll do all this stuff to follow the guru to find the answers. And I just had I had to look inside myself. I had no gurus. I didn't even know what was happening to me. And I basically walked through this mental circus.
Yeah.
It was like mental Disneyland. And and it lasted for 2 years. The world was in Technicolor. I could hear everything. My whole nervous system was shot from fight or flight.
Yeah.
And I was open, and I just didn't have anybody around me that knew what was happening. So I thought I was insane.
Yeah.
Yet I was still with my kids, being a room parent, trying to manage everything else. I actually went into like I was in my head.
Yeah.
So my daughter talks about this a lot. And she'll go, there were 2 years that you were just like a robot. I was like literally, I was there.
Stepford wife.
I was a Stepford wife. Like, I was physically there, but my brain was so entangled in so many layers, and I was just moving through life. And I was, at one point I wrote my kids a letter, and I wrote them, and I was like, I think I'm insane. I'm probably going to go in a home. I love you, and I'm sorry I failed you. And it's so interesting, because just at that time I was in a writing class, so I journaled all this.
Oh, wow.
I journaled all this crazy shit. I have all of it there.
Yeah.
And there was a girl in the class, and she goes, I go to this therapist, and she's like a young version of me. She reminded me of me as a young actor, like in the beginning when I started. And she goes, I have a therapist. And I said, I need to get into this lady. And I fought to get into her for 6 months. And just at the same time, like, I was really like, I don't know what to do. I texted her or emailed her, and I said, I got to get into you. Like, I've been waiting. And I know you're the person that's going to change my life.
Right.
And she was. So that's how the universe works.
Yeah.
I went in, and I went and saw her, and I walked out of there. And I mean, when I told you the bit of the story, I walked in, I was like, there's a form you fill out when you go into any doctor's office, a therapist. I had everyone like, PTSD, check. Bipolar, check. I mean, I was like, I've checked all the boxes. I've even added seasonal depression on the back. Like, I added shit, okay?
Adding boxes, like, hold on, this is incomplete.
Right? I added shit on the box.
Right.
So I was like, oh my God. And I went in there, and she was the first person in years that saw me.
Yeah.
And she looked at me, and she said, oh, honey, no. You're fine.
You're fine.
She's like, you just have no support. No one's there.
Man, how did that feel when you finally get that exhale? Like, oh, somebody sees me. I'm not crazy. I'm fine. When she said you're fine.
70% of the anxiety, all of it, just it literally, as anxiety washes over you, it washed out of me.
Wow.
And I saw her she got me up, and I had some other wild experiences with energy and people that no one would believe, but it doesn't even matter.
No, I watched that happen with my mom. Like, I was the problem child. I was completely insane, right? Like, I got hit by a car when I was like 13. I was chasing this crackhead in the neighborhood with a water gun, and my parents kept telling me, you need to chill out. You need to chill out riding your bike in the street. You need to chill out with that water gun. I just had a thing about doing drive-bys with my water gun. I squirted this dude with the water gun in the neighborhood. He was a crackhead. He came from out the garage with a fire extinguisher, like he was waiting on me, like, hey, yeah, motherfucking out. And he was not only was he a crackhead, he was an ex-track star. So I'm on the bike. I'm trying to run away from this motherfucker, man. I'm on the bike. I had to throw the water gun down. He's spraying me in the back with the fire extinguisher. He lighting me up, and he owned me. And I'm like, fuck, and I'm looking back at him. I'm looking back at him the whole time. And I ride out into the intersection. I ain't even looking at him no more. I ride at the intersection. There's a car right there. I never forget, it was an old school blue Delta. I mean, it was as close as these cameras. And I heard, this is why I know God is always in control. It was an angel. It was God. Jump. I heard it. It screamed in my ear. I jump. And it was just a split second. When I jump, I'm off the bike. The car hits my bike, rolls over it. I roll onto the roof, the hood, crack the windshield, roll onto the roof of the car. I roll all the way off the trunk into the back of the car. And my bike's under the car. And I had a cut on both of my legs from my knees cracking the windshield. That was it. I got up and walked away, and I never forget the dude getting out of my car. Christ, buddy, what the fuck? And then I look at the crackhead. He look at me, look at the driver, and the motherfucker took off running and went back home. Like, but moments like that. And then I got to go home and tell my mom that story. My bike is crushed. Then I had cancer when I was 15. Had 2 surgeries, 8 months of chemo. God healed me from that. And then at 23, I got shot by my ex. So I went through all of these things, and I watched it change my mom. You know what I'm saying? I watched it change her to the point where I remember because when they were going through chemo, they damn near went broke because their insurance only covered a certain portion of my chemo, right?
Of course.
They damn near went broke. We stopped going on vacations. They stopped buying shit. And I didn't know till years later. Like, I grabbed one of the bills, like, off the counter, like, right at the tail end of my chemo. And I was like, oh, shit, out of pocket. What? Because I had a port in my chest that ran to my heart.
What did you have?
I had, like, lymphomic cancer. It was, like, all connected to my lymph nodes.
Yeah.
It was all in my groin. I had tumors everywhere. So I had one surgery, and they went in and took all the tumors out. And then they did an x-ray, and then all the tumors came back and attached to my lymph nodes. Okay. So that time, you just imagine as your mom, you see your oldest son. I mean, you get it with your son. She saw me go through these surgeries, the chemo, and I'm losing weight and all of this shit. And I just watched it. I think when I got shot is when it just kind of like, I remember it was a period where I'm looking at my mom's face. She had just went through so much with me, like, man.
She's like, are you kidding?
She's
probably asking God right now, like what did I do?
Like, what did I do to deserve it? And then it was a time where her faith was tested. And I saw her, and I'm still seeing her now starting to find solace with writing. Like, she's writing a cookbook. She's writing her experiences. And with her writing these cookbooks, there's so much other stuff coming out of her that's been inside.
Always does.
She calls me like, I'm done with the 2nd chapter, and I'm encouraging her, like, because this is going to be a part of her healing. And because I don't feel like right now she really has a community. She lives in Texas. She don't really have a lot of friends and family around her, so she really don't have a community to kind of understand what she's going through, but she's getting it in her writing consistently. And I'm just like, okay, I'll keep encouraging. Like, that's what's going to help her out. But I think I was the one that just made her go blank.
Well, here's what and correct me, or you tell me what you think. I fought so much for my son to keep him going. Mm-hmm. And when I came out of this, and by the way, I'm not out of it. This journey, the spiritual journey, is just getting deeper and deeper. Right. And it's cool, and it's scary, and it's terrifying. Mm-hmm. But the one thing I came out of it, and then I started calm. The doors just started opening. Right. I literally was covered in like this light. People would stop me on the street and be like, you're glowing. And I was like, what? I mean, there's something interesting. I lost 40 pounds. I started running. I lost 40 pounds. I went from brunette, because I'm a natural brunette, to blonde.
Okay.
I changed from the outside and in. Like I went at myself afterwards. I said, "You're no longer that person. You're done with her.
Yeah.
She's gone."
You reinvented yourself.
Yeah, no, I took that. I literally was like, "You're a snake," and I shed my skin.
Right.
And I was like, "You're done with her," and I did. I reinvented exactly who I am.
Wow.
But what was interesting is I had to let go of wanting to save him. And I had to know that his journey is his journey. I had to accept that his journey was his, and my daughter's journey was hers, and it's not mine. And when I let go of that control of like, I've got to be the one to fix this.
Yeah.
And went, the story's already been written.
Yeah.
Your story was written.
Yeah.
Your cancer's written.
Already
Your
there.
shooting's written. The bike is written.
The crackhead.
The crackhead's written. It's already, when you start to trust that the story's written, and by the way, even though the story's written, it doesn't mean you do not have free will. And it doesn't mean you can't change your timelines. You can.
Yeah.
But everything's a choice.
Absolutely.
Right? When people, I have no choice, I'm trying it. I'm trying is not, should not even be, try should not exist. Try means you're failing already. You basically said, I'm failing.
Yeah.
When you say, I'm trying. No, I'm doing. It is. Like, that's the
You got to
thing.
speak it. And I realized that with my son, when he was 2 or 3, I was having dreams that I was visiting him and he was locked up. And he was bad as shit when he was 2 or 3 years old. So I kind of believed the dream. Like, this is possible.
That's a 2 or 3-year-old.
He was still out of his mind.
He was.
He was wild. But he was in my arms the day I got shot. Like, his mom shot me. The bullet went through my arm and crossed his forehead.
Okay.
So he grew up in those developmental years we talked about. His mom wasn't in his life. And then he's trying to make sense of, damn, my mama shot me and my dad. And, then when she got out of prison, she didn't really want nothing to do with him. So he had his own journey. But when he was young, I had this dream that he was locked up. So then, cars in the neighborhood coming up missing when he like 14, 15 years old. And it's like, oh, it's this dude. This is my son. He's thugging it out 100%. And when he got locked up a few times in juvie, and it would crush me. I remember I was on my way to a comedy show, and I got this call from the police that they had got my son. I had dropped him off at the gym. He was playing basketball. He is an incredible athlete. So I dropped him off at the gym. He's hooping with his friends, and I arranged for him to get a ride home, and I'm on my way to this comedy show. And before I get to the comedy show, I'm 10 minutes away, I get this call. I got to hit the stage, right?
Yes, and I hate that.
I
And
get
it's
this
happening.
call, and it's just like, yeah, your son, we got him in custody, blah, blah, blah. He stole a car, yada, yada, yada. And I had to send my brother there. And I got to hit the stage to tell jokes, but I'm dealing with all of this. But make a long story short, when he finally got locked up, like he ended up getting 7 years, right? Somebody stole something of his, and he tried to get it back. They didn't want to give it back, so he broke in the house. Like, everybody lay down. Give me my shit back and all your shit too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he gets 7 years, and I was crushed initially. Like, damn, man, did I fail as a father? I gave him all the game I could give him, and I gave him the benefit of my mistakes, and this is what I did. This is what it cost me, son. And I did all of that thug shit too, probably times 10, but there wasn't no cameras around. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't no cameras and blah, 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 and I paid for it in different ways, but ultimately, when he was there about 3 months and I was all broke up and blaming myself, I was spending some time with God. I was just praying, I was reading the word, and I was like fasting, and I was just in this really funk. And it was like when I woke up in the morning, God just gave me peace. Like, his story's already written. My hand is on him. He's got his own journey. He's protected. If it was meant for him to leave this planet, that bullet would have went in his head instead of across it.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, it was just peace. Like, he got his own journey. I got to just chill.
And what he does with that, even it's his, but he has choices.
Facts.
That's where I think even though I've surrendered that I can't control the outcome of what's going to happen with my kids,
Right.
my job is to guide them. My job is to show up, make sure they have a safe spot, a safe place. It's not to make them be like who I want them to be, which is a misconception that a lot of parents, right?
Yeah. It's my kid. You got to do what I want you to do.
Well, right. Like, oh, you're qualified to be a lawyer, so you're going to go to law school. You're going to
Right.
be a doctor.
Right,
that
right,
might
right.
not be How many comedians do you meet? Actually, they're like, I went to law school and I dropped out and I picked this job that makes no money.
Right.
What
a contrast.
Like crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's like our job is to guide our kids. And I know that everyone has different levels of where they come from and what their circumstances look like.
Right.
Like, I get that. And I get when you are in an arena, an area where everybody's like-minded,
right.
It's hard to push through. It's hard. Our world does not like different.
No.
They don't like it.
The attack was different.
Yeah.
The attack was different. They don't. I never forget. I remember when I was younger, especially growing up in the Midwest, like multicultural, mixed relationships was like shitted on.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
80s, early 80s, mid 80s.
Like
it was like,
oh my God, you would go out with that guy.
Yeah. It was shit on. I remember walking with my grandmother in the mall, Southland Mall in Taylor, and there was this black dude with a white chick, and she was like, she wasn't fat, but she was like a little chunky. And then, man, my grandmother, I'm like 7. I'll never forget it. She was, Charlie, look at this nigga with this fat white bitch. Look at it. I was like, what? Look, she said, don't you ever do nothing like that. She said, I don't want you getting no white women. Okay, I'm going to tell you that now. But if you get a white one, okay, you get a cute one. Don't get one that look like that. All right. And from 7 on. So then that experience, now when I'm out, now my eyes are open to it, and I'm looking at this nigga with this fat white bitch. Just look at this nigga. Look at this. Why didn't he get a cute one? And it's like, damn, man, the shit we saw. But ultimately, it was just a cultural attack. You better not. You better not bring none of them over here. You better not bring no. And I'm like, at some point, we realized that if we're spirit beings, then it don't even really matter.
Well, that's what we're trying to push, right?
Yeah.
That's that's what we're trying to get people on the program of, like, guys, and this is everybody.
Your destiny can be attached to anybody.
Yes.
It may not necessarily be a relationship, but if you're closed off to, this could be your future business partner. This could be somebody you can confide in as accountability. Like right now, I'm big on having people around me who can keep me accountable, that see me, because everybody don't. I can hide from so many motherfuckers. The addictions and the proclivities and all this shit, I can hide it. But what I'm working on now is I don't want to be around nobody I can hide it. I need to be around people who can be like, you on fuck shit.
Yeah, but in the end, you're responsible.
Absolutely.
For you.
I have to be.
You have to be accountable.
Yes.
And that's this crazy journey, this wild ride that I'm on. That's where I'm standing in going, oh, I freaked out on something. I should have handled it better.
Absolutely.
I made the mistake.
Yeah.
And someone will say, well, you're apologizing to somebody. By the way, I don't apologize. I just hold myself accountable. It's different. I'm not throwing out sorries for free.
Just for fucking. I realize I messed up, and then this is the change, because that's a true apology. Not saying I'm sorry, but a true apology is I've recognized my action, and now I recognize what I need to change so I don't do that again.
And you're not going to get that action again. And if you get it again and I repeat it, I will keep, if I'm not recognizing, because sometimes it takes a while to stop our repetitive nonsense, right?
Right.
But I will take accountability, and I don't care who it is. I had to do it recently with someone who I didn't think actually, who people would say on paper, they'd go, that person does not deserve you going in and owning who you are. And I said, it's not about that person.
Yeah.
It's about me making progress with me.
Yeah.
This isn't about everybody else. And how do you, so what? What? It doesn't matter.
Right.
If I can find peace in my own mind and forgive, and it doesn't mean you're all coming back in.
Right.
It just means I can find acceptance with how I behave, and you find acceptance with what we're doing. Then we go, I find a solace in that. And it's hard work. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not like I'm like, oh my God, I've done this and I've said that.
Yeah.
I mean, my mind is busy.
But that's what we were talking about in the kitchen about. We are taking the time to do the inner work, because I've been through so many traumas that now what I've been focused on, like the inner work. Here's some of the things that I do, and I'm gonna ask you what some of your process is. But if I'm not careful, I'll be focused on circumstances, environment, people around me instead of like, okay, what's my process? So for me personally, these are some of the things that I have to do for my inner work. I have to journal. I have to I got to write at least 3 pages a day. I have to journal. I have to take a cold shower damn near every day just to get out of my head.
Okay, I don't do that, but I'm gonna do that.
Cold shower. I journal. I definitely exercise. I've been off the wagon for about 2 weeks.
Exercising, huge, same.
It releases that dopamine that I need. Exercising, sometimes just getting on stage and ranting. Like I don't give a fuck. This joke's for me. Fuck everybody.
Yeah.
And you get it off and it works. But those are some of the main things, and definitely my spiritual connection. Spending time with God. If I fast, like intermittent fasting, a couple days a week, I just won't eat. I won't eat a couple days a week, and I'll just spend that extra time like reading the Bible or praying or saying a confession. But like if I don't do these things continuously, like sometimes I can't even listen to certain rap and then play basketball because I'll slap somebody on the basketball court. Like even now at 44, I was at 24-hour fitness just months ago. I was listening to Jeezy all day. I'm working out and I get in the gym and this dude fouled me. And the first thing out of my mouth, you foul me like that again, I'm going to beat the shit out of you and I'm going to lose my membership to this gym. And everybody's like, and I'm so serious and I'm so in it. And I'm walking up to the dude with my fist balled up. And I had to walk out. Like I can't listen to Jeezy this week. So I can't listen to rap.
Music is super important. It's because it's their truth, right? It's their poetry. It's whatever it's getting out.
And it reminds me of certain shit I was doing in the past, and I'm like,
because we actually, the universe we function on a vibration, right? The energy actually there's a sound.
True,
right?
very true.
The tree, there's a sound out there, and I just read about this yesterday, so I don't have it fully in my mind, but it's like the octave is something like 383 or
HZ, that shit,
HZ,
yeah.
And that's what the natural, and then everything else goes on a different level, and there was, now we listen to, so on our TikToks, our music, our TV is like 4 something, which
it's higher.
Is a disruptive energy frequency, and it was created by Hitler, one of Hitler's people, to send out propaganda.
Really?
And now the world has it. So now America adopted it, I think in the 40s. I might be wrong, and like that sometimes.
No, I get it.
I didn't lock it in, but we adopted it for all of our stuff. And what it does is it actually divides us. It actually creates a tension within our frequency.
Straight up.
And there's different frequencies to heal. There's different frequency sounds to like get you to to lock into your meditations. How crazy. When I read that, I was like, oh my God, it makes perfect sense.
No, I get it.
What's happening? Like the world has been dividing.
It's chaos.
And we're just unaware. We're becoming more conscious.
Yeah.
The problem is that there's a gift and a curse to this. When the world becomes more conscious and people start to step in to ownership of who we are taking accountability, coming from our life, there's another part that likes to stay unconscious.
Yeah.
And they're fighting to keep the old ways alive.
Yes.
Yeah. I get it. There's some beautiful things in tradition and there's beautiful parts of it. But it's like there's a balance. Mm-hmm. And we got to find, and really what it is between us going where we're going is healing our trauma is to find the balance.
Yeah, and having discussions about it like this. But I listen to whole tones when I'm asleep at night, and it's like an angelic tone that you can listen to. You look it up on YouTube. It's whole tones for sleep. And there's a tone, it's an angelic tone, and it's for healing while you sleep. And I think about it like even David, when David was called in to minister to Saul. Saul had all these demonic spirits on him in the Bible, right? He had all these demonic spirits, and Saul played the harp. But the harp, not Saul, but David played the harp. But the harp had a tone that would heal temporarily the demons and shit that was on Saul. But it's such a universal thing in reference to sounds and tones that we don't pay attention to. And Kanye talks about it a lot in reference to like some of the rap music has a certain tone that will activate you. And I can feel it when I'm listening to Jeezy and I want to beat niggas up on the hoop court. And it's like, wait a minute, I have to listen to a tone. So now I've been like subconsciously, that's another thing I do in my sleep. You all right?
It's loud. Oh my God. I was like,
I smoked too much weed. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
that was hilarious.
Yeah, I listen to another part of my process is what I'm listening to while I sleep. Sometimes I listen to whole tones. Sometimes I just listen to the word while I sleep. and then I wake up kind of refreshed sometimes, but it's still a part of healing from that past trauma because I have so many years of just doing whatever I want and exposing my heart and my soul to certain things. And the soul is one of the hardest things. It takes time to change, but ultimately I think my goals have changed in reference to the industry and all of these ups and downs and things that I've experienced. Is that my goals now is just like, I want to guard my heart and I want to know God and I want to make him known. That's really all I want to do in everything that I do, because I feel like I have purpose when I'm talking to people or if I'm in certain environments, like the comedy show I do at the Laugh Factory.
Yes.
It's such, for me.
Such a good show, by the way. So
man.
good.
And you kill it every time you come out. You kill it.
I love that you bring me into that environment.
You kill it.
I'm the token white girl.
Yeah, you kill it.
Love it.
But one of the reasons that I have you there is not just because you're funny and I like your vibe, but you understand the importance of community and connection, because that show is just community for this period of time. We're sharing laughs, we're sharing vulnerability, and then we're talking afterwards. And it's like, I want to build a healthy community, because the world of entertainment can be a toxic community.
So toxic.
It's trying to talk to comedians after some shows, and it's like, I hate that environment. I was like, you know what? I feel like whatever I hate, I'm entitled to help correct.
Yeah.
And I just love that environment.
Comedians are super arrogant.
Yeah.
I love it when anyone's arrogant, actually, because I look at them and I'm like, did you forget where you come from?
Facts.
Like, did you forget? You cannot. I've watched so many successful producers and I'm like, I know where you came from.
Right.
And I know you're making a shitload of money, but you forgot. So it's taken you, and now what happens when you forget where you come from? You get lonely because you surround yourself with people.
Yes, ma'am.
Of where you wanted to be without looking at the substance. You're just taking whatever the fluff is, and you're like, oh, you like me because, and you're forgetting the essence of who you are.
Yeah, and what made you? Me and him was just talking about this before the show. Like, I feel like money and success don't change people. It just reveals you.
It does.
You've been waiting on this moment, and then when it happens, then we find out the real you, and like that shit was brewing inside of you all along.
Well, because you were you were embarrassed. You're running from what you came from. I know that feeling. I did it. I never wanted to tell people I was from Vegas. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to tell people I'm from Vegas. I've got this crazy story. People don't come from Vegas. I didn't want to tell people that I did meth. Like, there's things I didn't want to talk about, right? But the thing is, meanwhile, I'm the cleanest person I know for the last 30 years. But, because again, I was bad at it. But when I started comedy, and even before, when I started to come out of what I was in, I was like, who are you?
Right.
Who are you? Like, who is Jessica? Because I've seen many versions of Jessie. I mean, that's why my label is emotionally exotic. Like, it's real. It's not exotic. Crazy. I'm emotionally exotic.
That's a nice title.
Because we have so many levels to who we are. And if you show anything other than the one, it's like, she's crazy. Look at her. Look at her here. She's dancing. Somebody said, I posted something of me dancing, clips of my shows, because I throw myself all over the stage. I love it, right?
Absolutely.
It's so fun. It's my performance.
Yeah.
And
it's your truth. Fuck it.
It's mine. And somebody goes, oh my God, that's crazy. And I think my response was, yes. I would imagine from a techie who's unconscious and is a voyeur rather than living your life, this would look crazy to you.
Because people just want to hide. They want to hide behind a wall and just peek. But they don't want to be seen.
No.
I'm going to take a piss, and then when I come back, I want you to talk about how you sprinkle your life and your comedy, and we're going to wrap up the show.
All right.
Give it up for Charlie Newhart. Come on.
This book right here.
Is it good?
Oh, my God.
Wait a minute. Don't believe separating the mind and emotion is such a big freaking deal. We're heady people, clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. This book, we good now? We rolling? Oh, okay. This book, like I literally got it a week ago, and like 5 days I ate it. I couldn't put it down. But it's just separating thoughts first thinking. It talks about how, you can have a thought. It rolls through your mind. It's a flow. You let that, the moment you grab that thought and you put it on the plate and you start, that's where you fucking up.
Kenny holds it up for the kids at home to see?
Yes. Thoughts First Thinking.
For the kids.
This book. Get this book. This I just recently read. I love to read. I try to at least read 1 to 2 books a month.
And you know what's funny? I have tons of books, and I would put them. I'd read them when I travel on the planes or whatever, and then I put it away. And I actually said I'm going to take a bit of a break because I want to focus more on my sole purpose.
That sole purpose. I want to know what that is. But I wanted to talk to the kids at home about some of these books and then allow you to kind of close out. But this book, fire. Don't believe everything you think. Thoughts First Thinking. You can have a thought. What's something that I underlined in this book? There are millions of small circumstances and events that have to have been miraculously orchestrated for us to be where we are now. To plan that would be impossible and futile, yet here we are. This is the miracle of life. It is only when we think we know more than God that we run into problems.
Yes, control.
There it is. When we realize that we don't have to try to control and try to force everything to happen our way. That's crazy you said that. We become free from suffering and pain and frustration and begin to fall into this state of non-thinking where things just all happen for us instead of to us.
I was going to say, because everything happens, people think that things are happening to them, right? That's our biggest thing. We're like, why is this happening to us? Why? I'm the victim of it. And it's this process, which is hard.
Shit.
But to go, it's happening. It's not happening to you. It's happening through you and for you. And so many people will go into the victim mentality of like, this is my lot. No, you have free will. Get those. You can change your dialogue.
Yeah, with changing how you think. That's another one of my favorite books. I read this one twice. The Power of Your Subconscious Mind.
Oh, wow.
Joseph Murphy.
Okay.
This book is off the chain. It just chronicles a lot of stuff that you was just talking about. How, like, one of the things I do now is when I wake up in the morning. Sometimes we wake up in the morning, we think about the shit we did the night before. Like, oh, shit, man, I did this, I did that. And we focused on that. But the more we think about what we did the night before, we attract the same thing the next day.
Yeah.
So this talks about switching your thoughts. Like when you wake up in the morning, take some conscious time to just imagine what you want to happen, how you see it happening. This book changed my life off the chain. And I just work on just changing power of your subconscious mind by Joseph Murphy. This is a powerful book. Helps you change your thoughts because what you think about is ultimately what you attract.
And it's interesting because now, and you're not incorrect, I will lay in bed because that moment when you wake up.
Yes, talk about that.
That's where your mind is the clearest, right?
Absolutely.
There's that front where you're coming out of your dream state. So you've just cleansed yourself, right? You've just cleansed yourself sleeping. And you have that pure moment that those thoughts that you put out there, if you're thinking crazy stuff, like if you're like, oh my God, what'd I do? Or if you're like, oh my God, last night was crazy. I was like, but it was fun.
Yeah.
It's your perspective, right?
Right.
You know what? Yeah, and then you're like, okay, where am I going today? How am I going to feel today? Everybody's got their own plight, right? So we all have my plight's not your plight, although somehow we sound very similar.
Oh,
like
man.
it is.
Our stories parallel so much. When you said I was sober for 12 years, I didn't drink 12 years. When you said that, I'm like, oh my God. That's
but
crazy.
I wasn't even sober. Because I'm not a big drinker, anyways.
Yeah.
It's not my thing. But I was just like, I'm a mom, and moms don't do this.
Yeah.
Like,
that's where I was. I said, listen, I have to be focused on my family, my kids. I have to present a certain type of image. This is who I am.
Yeah.
This person doesn't drink. And that's what I just stopped 12 years.
That's so crazy.
12 exact years. And then I cracked open a bottle of wine going through a divorce. And then it was like.
No, it's always it's the stuff that's happening through us.
Yeah, happening through us.
And the wine's coming through us,
The wine
too.
just washes it out. Like, you know, where's the tequila at now?
And you do want to numb. I mean, numbing is easy because it's right. It's legal.
True.
Right. Numbing is easy, and it's funny that people, we all know that alcohol is a depressant, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're in that, it can be great, but if you're in that state,
if you're already in a depressed state, to drink a depressant, then it's like
it's like what the hell? Like we're just doing it, and. And it's free. It's out there.
Especially during the pandemic.
Oh,
I can remember having a bottle of tequila in my hand, staring at the wall, crying. Just, I don't know why. I don't even remember what the subject was, but just being blasted.
And I was drinking a lot of Pinot Noir. But I was telling everybody I was juicing.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm juicing.
You juicing,
I was
all right.
and shooting dance videos in my garage.
Yeah.
Like that.
Which was killer, by the way. The
They were
videos
fun,
is
right?
fire.
No, I'm still doing them. People are laughing because I'll post them less frequently, but I still.
It was so free though. What I got from it, like, she just don't give a fuck. She's just free.
That's another thing. Learning to not say I don't give a fuck, but actually
Doing it.
owning it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm good with
Yeah.
me. Whatever goes down. Because if you know you're coming from a good place with good intentions, that's all that matters.
Right.
Like, you can be whatever you want. I know my intentions, and not everybody's going to love me.
No, not at all. I want to bring up these
Going.
these two books are my favorite autobiographies. I love autobiographies because I feel like I'm sitting down with the people.
Okay, yeah.
This is one of the things my dad told me years ago, because my dad is a gearhead. He's a mechanic. He's a hot rod guy. And he was just like, Charlie, it's clear you're supposed to do something in entertainment. He said, and we was in Detroit at the time, actually Romulus. He was like, I can't give you no game on what you're supposed to do. He said, but what I will tell you is you need to start reading autobiographies of people who are doing or have done what you, he said, and that's how you're going to learn. That's the greatest game he gave me. And then I started locking on in autobiographies. These two, I actually went to his house. I sold a car to somebody in his camp, and I had to go to Robert Evans, is one of the most famous Hollywood producers. He was behind Godfather. I mean, you name the classics. This dude was a maniac, and he was one of my like icons, dude I looked up to. And his assistant came in and bought a car from our dealership, and we needed to go to his house and get his signature. And we went to his fucking house in Beverly Hills, and I'm looking at these photos on the wall like, oh my God. And then I get a signed book from dude. His story is similar to ours, starting out from like nothing, starting out from New York, just doing whatever. And then the way he ended up in pictures, like these are the stories that I love. People who wasn't chasing it and trying to kill people to get there, they just fall into it because it's their destiny. Robert Evans, this book, The Kid Stays in the Picture, one of the best reads. And I felt like I was sitting down with dude, like, oh shit, it's just like,
Are these? Can I take these as takeaways?
this dude, Hollywood Godfather, Gianni Russo, he was in Godfather. His story is very similar. Mafia dude, street dude, just muscled his way into movies and pictures with no formal training. And that's just kind of how I feel. Like I wasn't really, I didn't go to college I didn't graduate college. I didn't go to college for acting and comedy. But to end up with these roles and shit, I'm like, how? And then I'll walk away, Jess. When I'm pissed off at the industry or the political weirdness that you know exists, I'll walk away. Like recently I went and got my CDL license and got on the truck. Like, fuck this business. My manager was weird. People was weird. And I'm on the truck for 3 months, and the producer calls me, wants me to do a commercial. And I put a number up there so close to God, like, well, if you want me to get off this truck, give me this. He called me back an hour later, like, yeah, we'll do it. I was like, oh, shit, I'm not even chasing it. I'm driving a truck. That's the way I would prefer it to happen. Instead of chasing it. This book, Hollywood Godfather, My Life in the Movies and the Mob. He talks about JFK and Marilyn Monroe and like all of this shit's fire.
Okay.
You gotta read this.
I want to read it.
Hollywood Godfather. Y'all check that out. Y'all got the books. Yeah, I think that's a segment I'm gonna start doing because I got a fucking room full of books.
Amazon, are you paying attention? We need an audible. What do
Yeah.
you call it? We need some.
We need an Audible plug.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We need an
hear
Audible
that,
plug.
Amazon?
Amazon, you hear that? I submitted my voice. Listen to this voice. I submitted my voice over to Audible. I haven't heard shit. What's going on? And I can change up to a more suburban tone as well if you need it. If you see me in Optima Tax Relief commercials, you'll know I can switch to suburban.
You have seen those commercials.
If you see my commercials, you'll know. You cover up all my tattoos, put me in a suit, make me look like a great real estate agent. You need a condo?
State Farm is
State Farm is there. I want Jess' story. How do you sprinkle your life into comedy? And in closing, what do you think your purpose is, your goals, your legacy? What do you want to leave?
It's funny you say that because recently I've been questioning what I'm doing, right? You go through these phases even in comedy. Like I fell into comedy. Comedy wasn't what I was a dramatic actress. Okay?
Really? Okay.
I was like comedy. Ugh. And I fell in. It's crazy. I ran into Jeff Garland at a car wash. He was a dad at my kid's school. And I said, I hadn't been acting. And when I ran the PTA, he'd be like, you got to get out there. I don't know what you're doing. Like, you should be working as an actress. Right. And I was like, I'm raising my kids and I'm doing my thing. And this is what I'm doing. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to get back into acting. And he goes, I'm going to introduce you to my agent. And I just made the decision like the day. And I was like, I'm not ready. I haven't really been I'd worked and done stunts and I've done little things here and there throughout the years. But I was like, this is Jeff Garland's agent. This isn't like I got a F agent that I'm going to introduce you to. And maybe, they don't even have an office. It's like, you're going in with top agents. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not ready. And he's like, well, come to one of my shows. And I went to one of his shows. And he's like, maybe you should take a class to like just get yourself back up into auditioning and stuff like that. Right. And I took a comedy class at Flappers. And I was so scared. My mind was a little crazy because I was coming out of my other stuff. And I was like, I'd lost memory and a lot of stuff. And I remember thinking there was like 12 people in this class. And they were all better. Like I kept going. I went to the class and I was like, oh my God, I'm terrible at this. Like I'm not fun. Like I don't even know. I'm a dramatic actress. Like I'm not funny. I'm not funny. This is not. And I was like, I can't write a joke. I don't even know how to write a joke. And they're helping me through 12. And they're all in there so good. Like, oh, this is so funny. And they get up in the front of the class. We get up. First of all, we lose half the class. I don't even know where they go. Yeah. Okay, right? Half of them are gone. And the ones that looked so good, and like I was like, oh, they're gonna kill it. Bombed, froze, shaking up on stage. One of them, like it was like he had Tourette's. He just kept saying thigh gap, thigh gap, thigh gap, thigh gap. It was like great. Like I was like, what the fuck? It was like a record player. Like I was like, what is going on? And I'm nervous. I've got notes in my pocket. I'm like 4 minutes. It's when 4 minutes felt like an eternity.
Yeah, I remember those days.
How am I gonna get through 4 minutes?
Right.
And I get up there and I was like, guys, I got my notes in my pocket and I didn't look at him once. And I had the crowd going. And it's actually on YouTube, that first one. I need to get more of my stuff on YouTube, but I curse a lot. And I talk about real stuff that.
Yeah, put it on there. Anyhow.
I know, but there's stuff on there that I'm in the midst of things, right? And I'm like, yeah, like I don't want to, it's comedy, and then people be like, that happened, and it's like, calm down, people, okay? Yeah. But I got up there, and the doors, literally, somebody was in the audience. They go, oh, come do the Comedy Store. Oh shit! And I was like, okay. My third show, I was like with Judd Apatow in a show. Like it was just crazy. The doors just kept opening. And then I was like, I want an agent. I'm going to get an agent now. So I go in and I ended up meeting with this agent. He's like, what do you want to do? And I said, I need to make a show about my life. Right. Like I need to make a real show about my life. And I want to talk about what I just experienced. And he wasn't a great agent, but I booked him right there. And the doors just kept moving. Wow. And then I actually took David Arnold's class, and I took another class from Jerry Cor. I just took classes and kept just trying to, I was like cramming it in. Right. I was like, how do I cram it all in? How do I get all the information? I'm 45 years old. I'm late in the game. right? So I was like chasing and chasing and chasing. And I've accomplished some, and I mean, listen, I've been doing comedy for 5 years. That's 2 years on Zoom. In Zoom, I went crazy. Right. Everyone's like, I hate Zoom. I was like, I love Zoom. Let's go. Yeah. And so now the world's opened up. You have been unbelievably generous, bringing me into the Laugh Factory, Long Beach. That is a huge gift. I am so grateful. You have no idea.
That's no problem, man.
I've done the big places. I travel. I go to Vegas. I go here. I've been to Chicago. I've bopping around. But now I'm at that point where I want to bring where I'm going in my life. Yeah. Like I don't want to just talk about, hey, my name is Jessica Winther. That's Winter with a lisp. It's like winter is coming. Winter is not. Like that kind of stuff. I want.
It's a plateau. We talked about inside. It's the plateau that I'm watching you. That's one of the things I'm grateful for your experience. Like I remember 3-4 years ago, and I'm watching you now, and it's like, oh shit, I have to put my real life into this. How are you finding that mix? Is it difficult?
It is hard for me because I know that I am one of those different humans that I'm very conscious, right? Right. And I know that sometimes unconscious people, which I've been running into, they love me. They gravitate towards me.
Right.
They want to step into the energy. They love all of it. I'm like a shiny penny.
Yeah.
But I'm like more of a meteor. So they're like, and then it burns them, and they're like, Jesus.
Like, oh shit! They see all that energy that attracts.
Yeah,
to them.
and I think there's something about my personality where you're very, very, very people are attracted to me, but just by energy, right?
Yeah.
But then, and I don't know, but I've heard this. This is what I've heard from other people. I make people. There's something happens where they look at me in something with my dynamic where it makes them look at themselves.
Yeah.
And they have to look at what's going on in them. And I don't know if it's because I am so transparent.
Yeah.
That it brings up stuff for people who aren't.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, I want to be a part of it. And then it challenges them to maybe step into another, because they're like, wow, you can live like that?
Right.
She's doing fine. Like, she's all over the place. She's, doing, and then they get scared of them. They think I expect that from them.
Right.
And I don't have any expectations for anyone in my world except for be better.
That's what I see your stand-up as you're evolving into mixing your true life story into your comedy. Your transparency is what's going to continue to win the audience over, because they're attracted to you. They just don't know how.
Yeah.
Somebody like me, I can see the how. Like, I already know. But when it's an audience, these people, they're attracted. They don't know how. So the more you begin to share your story, Jessica, with these people, and I think you're already on the right path. And I'm no comedy mentor. I'm just saying, from what I've noticed through you, is your writing is going to
It's changing, and that's where I'm at. Like I said to another mentor that I work with, I go, I need to talk more about what's going down, because that's my sole purpose, I think. And by the way, it can change, right?
Yeah.
You just I need to share my story.
Yes, you do.
Because I don't want anyone to ever feel alone.
Damn.
My big thing is that I'm not, people will be like, oh, you're up there doing it for you. And I'm like, no. I know what it feels like to walk through life and feel like you are so alone.
Yeah, and that's why you have the voice. You have the voice because there are millions of women who are waiting to raise their hand like, oh my God, Jessica, me too.
Yeah.
But if you never speak, it doesn't happen, because truthfully, we lead with our strengths, but we connect with our weaknesses.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
So you lead, you strong, everybody's there, yada. But now the bridge that you're building is, okay, now that I have you,
let me tell you how flawed it is.
Let me give you this weakness, and then that weakness will be the connection, and that's the fan base that just explodes.
Well, and that's where I'm trying to get to the precipice of to get. So you go, oh my God, I'm 40. I've raised my kids. Now what? I'm 45. I gave my life to this. I don't have to. You can. I think my biggest message is you can reinvent yourself.
Talk about it.
All the way through your life. You can wake up, whether you're 16, 25, 75, whatever it is, and go, yeah, I'm going to do something different. You're never stuck. And I think we get stuck in our own minds, in this matrix that we're in of like, well, you're going to be an engineer, and then you're going to make the money, and you got to provide for your family, and you got to just show. No, you get to do all this, but you get to be who you want to be. It's who you wake up and who you say, I'm going to be this person today. And then you got to follow through with it. And it's hard. It's not easy.
It's hard. I experienced it. Like, I had my first child when I had just turned 18.
That's so crazy to me.
Just turned 18. And I realized that I've been a parent more than my whole life, since I've been an adult. So when I was going through the divorce, 3 years ago, 2022, 3 years ago. At that point, I'm like, this is the biggest reinvention. I've been a husband and then a father all of my adult life. I got married. I got married. My first marriage, I was 22. That lasted like 5 years. Then I got married again. So I've been married like 17 years of my life. I've been a parent for 26 years.
Yeah.
I'm 44. So I was reinventing myself during the pandemic. Like, oh my God. I think, like you said earlier, that was a great reset. And I needed it. Like, damn, I've been responsible for kids for 20 plus years. I've been responsible for a spouse. Like, damn, man, now I have to be responsible for Charlie. What does that look like to make choices for me?
Well, and that's a hard one, right? Because when you sit in that responsibility of taking care of everyone else,
Yes.
it also feeds.
It does that ego.
It feeds the ego, right? Because you're like, I have to do this, I have to show up. So now you have to feed yourself.
And I didn't know how difficult it was. Like, damn, man, I didn't
It's
know that
so hard.
feeding other people, taking care of other people. I thought I was really taking care of myself, but I was losing pieces of myself being responsible for all of these people.
Yeah.
And then when I'm alone, Dave Chappelle said this in one of his interviews. He said, one of the things I noticed about the pandemic is that we were forced to sit at home and look at our choices.
Yes.
Our life choices.
That's what it was all about. That's
And I
why
was
people got divorced. That's why people got together. That's why, some people got together in fear.
True.
Some people separate. Like there's so many levels, and some people don't realize because awakenings come sometimes when you don't want them,
Yeah.
right? Like this journey for me, I didn't search for it. It came for me. It came for me.
That's
like,
the best way.
It's the best and the scariest, right? Because if you go and you're like, I'm going to go fight with my ego and take ayahuasca for 12 hours with a shaman, and I'm going to come out of it and I'm going to be fixed because I'm going to not eat sugar and I'm going to cleanse my body. I didn't have that. Like whatever my gift is or whatever I'm supposed to do, whatever happened to me set me on that path.
Right.
And it opened the doors for comedy. And I don't know where these doors are going to open after. And it may not just stay in comedy because I feel in my heart, I feel like I got to get my message out. I need to start touring. I need to start sharing my true story.
You ever thought about doing a one-woman show?
I'm working on it.
I see it. It's going to be fire.
Yes.
I see it.
And I also, I want to hit, because it's not just females, right? It's men. Look, you and I are having the same experience.
Absolutely.
Very similar experience.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. This is real.
Yeah.
I talk to friends. I'm out there. I'm watching people leave their husband. Like somebody said to me, oh, the pandemic made you want to separate from your husband. I'm like, no. I wanted to separate before because I had already started this introspective journey.
Right.
And so I was already in the midst of it, but I said 2 days before the pandemic, I'm like, no, this is real. It's happening. And then we were stuck together for a year and a half.
And then you had to look at it.
And boy, the shit came out. Like, and I could have said, because it got very intense and for my kids, which is the one thing I always try to protect. And I remember thinking at one point, I'm like, this is going to happen again. Like, I'm going down this, like, crazy train again. Like, I got over this. I thought I battled this.
Right.
And now we're in it again. And it was crazy. And then now that I'm out of it, I can literally go, wow, so many beautiful, I got truths all the way through that. That was happening through me and for me, not to me, because I would have walked away feeling guilty. Mm-hmm. And instead, I'm walking away knowing I'm good. But it felt like it came at a heavy cost. And I was like, are you kidding me? I literally was like, come on, cut me a break.
Right. We needed it.
I actually just said recently, I was like, I love the journey I'm on and I think it's amazing. But I literally was like, I need a beat.
Yeah.
I need a beat, and then I'll circle back.
I need a break here. It's been a lot.
Yeah. Like I was like, I need a beat right now because it's emotionally a lot for me, and.
But it's like you cramming years and years. You've been with somebody 10, 15, 20 years, and then it's like all of a sudden you got all of those years you were with that person almost compressed in this 2 or 3 year time frame that you're trying to get over that situation, that individual, and it's all crammed into a year, 2 years. They won't stop. It's all these attacks. It's back and forth to court, and it was so much. And
it takes a lot to get over anything like that, because
True.
Especially because if you are traumatized and you have that, it just opens the wounds. Right? People are so scared to go in those wounds. They don't think they're coming back. And I'm like, no, you come back.
Yeah, you got to get in
You do come back. It's just, and you come back stronger and better and more powerful. but you gotta open the door. You gotta get there.
And that's one of the things that I said, that I want to be the best me that I can be. And that's why I'm working on, because people on me now, like, you're 44, you've been divorced almost 3 years. Why you're not remarried? Like, what?
Remarried?
For what? Why now?
Rush.
Like, why is there a rush?
Wait a
'Cause
minute.
I just want to be the best me that I can be for myself, for my kids, and if I do remarry, my future spouse. But what's wrong with me just working on me right now?
Okay,
Just
I
being
love
me.
that we are placing marriage, this paper. How many times have you been married?
I've been married twice.
Isn't that enough? I mean, I've been married once.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say, I'm not saying never because I don't believe in that word.
Yeah.
But people are like, oh, you're going to get married. I was like, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. That was part of I moved forward in life.
Yeah.
So I'm like, bucket list, next.
You know?
Got the kids, next. Like,
But I feel like if it happens, it's organic. It's
Yeah.
nothing that you're trying to chase. But right now, I'm just working on so much soul work. And anybody that I'm even possibly interested in, I'm just kind of like, where are you at on your soul work?
well, that's something I have to notice. And not that I don't date, right?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
date. I don't go out. I mean, I meet people by chance, which is a whole other bag of tricks.
Right.
But I'm not looking for it at all, like
Yeah.
ever. And it's funny because
And
I
that's the
talk
best.
about it on stage, and people think like, "Oh yeah, this is a challenge." I'm like, "It's a total challenge. You can't afford me," and they're offended. And I'm like, emotionally. Okay, like you can't afford
Emotionally
because you
exotic.
got to be able. Someone has got to be in the process of doing some kind of work.
That's the only thing I'm interested in. You got to be on soul work, and those are the questions that I'm asking now. I could care less about how you look, your status, what you drive, where you live, any of that. Are you doing the work? And to me, that's the most attractive thing about an individual is like, oh shit, you doing the work. You doing the amount of work that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like I had a conversation with one of my daughters, and she was just like, Dad, why is it that people are not interested in doing the soul work? I said, I don't know. But you got to look at the situation like a car. Like if I'm buying a car, I'm trying to buy the one with the least amount of miles and need the least amount of work, preferably brand new. But I run into you and you got all this trauma baggage and all this stuff, and you don't even have a process.
Yeah.
And you XYZ years old, I don't have time.
Well,
Shit,
and
I got
everybody's
5
got
kids.
stuff.
Everybody
got
got stuff.
Even the people, the people who have the most stuff are the people that don't look like they've got stuff.
Absolutely.
Those are the trickies. They're tricky.
They're
But
trickies.
they're tricky.
Yeah.
That's a
You can't-
fuckery right
and
there.
Then,
Is
and
what
then
goes on.
You 6 months in, and it's like, oh my God, for real? You was subject to this, and you was 6 years old. Why the fuck you didn't tell me?
And then there's the one that are all fucked up, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm fucked up. I'm fucked up." Yeah,
Right.
And I'm
And then
gonna
just
live
accept me.
here. I'm just gonna live.
No,
and
no,
it's
no.
like, okay,
No, you gotta
if
put
you
that work
can't
in.
be better, and you don't want to, you can't show up. I gotta give people so many chances. So funny, but I'm learning to. I'm not protecting my heart. You said something. You said you're guarding your heart.
Yeah, I'm guarding my heart.
I'm opening my heart with an invisible shield.
Oh shit.
I'm actually opening my heart. I feel like the only thing that opened my heart were my kids. I don't think I've ever in my life received real love. I don't even know what it looks like, and it's not that my mom doesn't love me. They love me the way they could love me.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it's like to actually feel someone love me. It's very interesting.
No. I understand. I heard Theo Von say this a year or so ago. He was on a podcast. He said, I just want to be loved and I want to feel it.
Yeah.
And I've only met one person, I think, in my life, one female who has ever been like, she saw me, she still sees me. She sees me, and I know she loves all of me, and I can feel it.
Yeah. That's
the only
unconditional
time.
love, by
That's
the way.
unconditional, and I want to feel it.
Because
And
I give that.
yeah.
I love unconditionally. That is
Same.
how, even if it struggles, but you don't just, I'm loving you unconditionally.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. There's struggles. There's like, you got to find that. But if I love you, I will, I'm not your person. I will have your back. You're my soul family.
Yeah, no,
You're
that's
in
how
with
I
me.
feel. Remember we was talking in the kitchen, like what I want to feel is if I can hide $100,000 in your backyard and come back 5 years from now, and it's still
And it'll
there.
still be there. I'm not touching it.
And even though I may not even be in that lifestyle, but I need to feel it. I need to
Yeah.
feel that if I get caught and they come ask you questions, you gonna give the narrative that needs to keep me out.
Well, it'll be like, I don't know what you're talking
Hey,
about.
who is that? I need to feel that level of unwavering loyalty, and I just feel like it's just not a lot
That's
of people
cool that
doing it.
you, by the way, that's amazing that you have someone who sees you like that.
Yeah.
Because that's being seen. And I said to you, a lot of people don't see me.
Not true.
I have a few good girlfriends that see me, but I have yet, which is an interesting, I have yet to be with a man in my life, which is my plight, male nonsense, that sees me. And that it's the whole, like, they get it and there's unconditional love. Because I offer that to all my friends. Like, if you're in with me, I want the love I give.
That's another thing that I was going to say. I want reciprocation.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're looking for in most of our relationships. I read this book called The 3 R's. I'm going to wrap it up on this. The 3 R's in relationships: respect, reliability, and reciprocation.
Yeah.
If you have all 3 of those, and those are your closest friendships and the closest relationships, you think about it. You give and give and give, and somebody don't give back, you don't fuck with them.
And by the way, chaser. Right
Chaser.
here. Chaser.
Yeah.
Oh, you're emotionally unavailable? I'm going to make you love me.
Facts, because we think we can change. And then respect, like, you're not willing to respect my views or some of my belief systems or some of the processes that I use day to day to keep me sane. You don't respect that.
Well, they're scared.
They are. And then reliability. Like, I can't even, like, you ask me to be something, you can't even fucking show up.
Show up.
If you can't give me all 3 R's, and it's just like, I don't even, like, completely cut you off, but if I'm around you for a period of time, and I don't see those 3 R's that I'm giving,
You disappear.
You just slowly get put into this category.
Totally.
Here, like,
It's. I do a slow move out.
yeah,
Like,
it's a slow move. It's like that dude on camera that's like, don't want to be.
We're all moving. We're all moving to the
You
side.
just fading out of the matrix, and it's your behavior that's doing it. And I'm watching you, and like, you don't even have to be perfect. Me and him was talking about this. Like, I've seen
It's
so
not about
much.
perfection.
I've seen so much with people. I automatically expect people to be two or three different people. You may be one person by yourself. You may be one person with a group.
Yeah.
You may be one person. Who knows? But I expect that because familiarity doesn't breed contempt with me. I can get close to Jessica, see all your flaws, and still love the shit out of you. No
we're
matter
all
what.
flawed, right?
We're all flawed. But I can still give. I can still respect you. I can still be reliable. I can still reciprocate regardless of your flaws. But the moment you don't start doing that shit for me, when you see my flaws, I'm like,
Yeah. No. And are we all moving? Are we all good? Well, and that's you know what's interesting? People put this middle-aged Barbie on a pedestal when you meet me, right? So you
same.
meet me and
they're in love with the idea of Jessica.
love it. They love, oh my God, look at her. She's, because I am a wild animal, okay? That's real. I'm fun. I'm a good time. But when I let you in, and I don't let people in, right?
Same.
Like, you think you're in because I can tell you my stories. And
You keep that surface level chit chat there.
Which is funny that that's surface level, right? Like,
And they think it's deep, but for us, it's like,
And I'm like, no. So it's interesting that when you're in, you're in. Like, it's The Exorcist. Like, you've entered and you're not leaving. It's like, you're in.
You're there, absolutely. Yeah, it's a lot. But once you get there, you fucking in.
Because like, for me to trust you, it's on a soul level and it's on a personal level. Somehow you got me.
Yeah.
And if you play me,
when it already took a whole lot to let you in to begin with.
yeah. But guess what? I don't come back. I go. I let the universe take care of people, and I gotta tell you, people that play me, I am protected.
It happens.
I don't even do anything. I just stand back and go, all right, that's how you're gonna play it.
Yeah.
And I relinquish the control.
Mm-hmm.
I work the subconscious and try to wash it out.
And then you walk away.
And then I walk away. And I learn I don't have any regrets in this lifetime as of now. I do all of me. I live all of me. I live differently and big. And I don't have them. I'm living my best life.
Where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram. They can find me on Facebook. But oh my God, you guys keep Facebooking me, and I gotta tell you, I just can't run it all.
Yeah.
I am on Instagram at the Jessica Winther because somebody stole my name. Or I don't know. There's others.
Somebody
I don't know.
stole-
Can't I just be Jessica Winther? Everyone's the
Oh, you
or
have to
the
put the
real
TH?
or the original.
I am.
I am.
I had to do that shit. I am
I
Charlie
am,
Newhart.
yeah. Like it's like, oh God. So I am the Jessica Winther on Instagram. It's where I post all my shows. I'm also have a few things on you. I mean, I'm all over. Google me. Actually, just Google me. You'll
Google
see.
her.
It's all a facade.
And you got to be on the lookout for her one woman
My
show.
one-woman show.
That is going to be a roller coaster of just, I need to be on the front row. And I'm telling you right now, Jessica, when you win an award for this one woman show, and it's probably going to be several, when you get up and you give all your thanks to everybody, I need you to have a dramatic pause and then say, and Charlie Newhart, and there better be a fucking tear come down your eye like, he gave me so much. And he saw it. Should be. I want the roof to come off when you mention my name.
Of course
you
you
do.
do.
I want that.
Definitely.
And if you don't do it, I'm tackling you on stage. Fuck is wrong with you? How you got
Charlie did it for me. It was Charlie.
He's Charlie.
Charlie,
You gonna
darling.
win several awards for that one woman show. I can see it.
I feel like stuff is cooking for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have a lot of. I'm also doing a podcast. Hopefully, this name isn't taken yet.
Yeah.
But it's going to be called "Fabulously Flawed Parenting with My Daughter."
Oh shit. Oh
and
shit.
that's gonna be fun.
That's gonna be fire.
Because she's a badass.
That's gonna be fire.
she's saucy, and I'm letting her run the show, so I'm excited. That's gonna be coming out. We're shooting that, and and then my one woman show, and then hopefully my books and stuff.
It's all gonna pop for you. It's gonna happen. Y'all already know what this is. Charlie Newhart. I only bring real people on, and we had a good time. This is one of my favorite podcasts. Jessica, I thank you for coming out.
Thank you for having me.
Y'all can check me out at I Am Charlie Newhart. I had to put the I Am on my shit because there's a cat out there named Charlie Newhart.
Of course there
It's a
is.
fucking cat. So I
There
had
are
to
multiple.
I'm Charlie. I Am Charlie Newhart on IG. Tune in here on my YouTube. I got a Roasting in Public. One of my episodes gonna be coming out soon. Me and Langston went out to Santa Anita Park to this Taste Fest, and it's like 1,500 people there. We was just asking people random trivia questions.
love that stuff. Good.
That's
so
just
cool.
hilarious. That when some of those episodes are coming out, got some more sketches coming out. Yeah. So y'all know what it is. I love y'all because I love myself.
Thank you.
Why, man?